Welcome to Countdown.
Hello.
And, welcome to Australia. This is actually the first time we've had a chance really to talk to you on Countdown, although you've been very much involved with the show as far as film clips and that is concerned and with the hit records. If we may, can we go right back to the first tour you ever had of Australia, which was that one concert at Sunbury. At that stage, you were still sort of building up as far as a group was concerned. But I remember at that stage also that the group were utterly convinced that that you were going to be a world-class group. Can you just talk about those times?
How do you mean? I mean, it's just something that we were going through. It's a phase we were going through. I mean, that's the first time we'd sort of been to Australia. And I mean, I think that they're very good memories. I mean, I can't remember that much about the very first time. I can remember the larger tour that we did. And I think that was a very good reception for us. I mean, there are numerous little incidents that happened, which were sort of great.
Yes, what I was trying to just go back to, that first time you had already built an amazing visual image on stage. And it was very hard going on at Sunbury, virtually being unknown. As far as the group was concerned in Australia.
Coming in out of this cold to sort of do a headline was kind of difficult. I mean, I know at the time we had a lot of competition from the sort of Australian groups there. And it was a very difficult thing for us to come in from the cold. And it's something that you sort of just learn by experience. I think it was a good thing to do because, I mean, we had to, rather than sort of do a slow build-up, just come in there on the top. And sort of say, we're Queen, this is what we're all about.
Right.
And it's nice to sort of go in at the deep end. And from then onwards, I think, all it needed was for people to see us on stage.
I mean, the most amazing thing was that from an unknown group, and seeing the determination of the group itself, that you were determined in actual fact to break into a world market, that 6 months later, after Sunbury of that year, in Australia, you were in fact becoming one of the world's top groups. Was it hard before that? I mean, like prior to...
No, I think we've sort of, our sort of history, if you sort of go back, our sort of climb has been very quick, and I think that's, you know, it's just great. I just think we've the ball sort of started rolling, and then it sort of went so fast during, say, Bohemian Rhapsody time. I think things were moving so fast we couldn't even keep up. I think we've been very lucky, actually. I think we've been sort of, our timing has been right, and we've been in the right place at the right time. And say, for example, in America, I mean, we only did one support. I mean, we've only done one support sort of tour in our lives, really. So we have been lucky.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but with the first Queen 1 album, you spent a lot of time in a recording studio at that stage because you were in fact backed by a recording company,
Yes,
studio.
We had a production company named Trident, which we don't have anymore.
Right.
They sort of backed us, yes, and through them we had a recording contract with EMI. Yes,
now, obviously you must have spent more time in the recording studios rather than going out on the road at that stage.
Not true. I think it was half and half, really. We did the first album very quickly, really. I mean, it took us about 4 weeks, I think. But it's because we did material that we knew very well. I mean, it was material that we were doing on stage well before. So, I mean, we knew what to do when we went into the studios. Then on, it was all sort of what I call very new material, and a lot of it was written in the studios.
Well, when did the spectacular stage thing, which you had on the first tour in Australia, when did that start to evolve on stage?
I think we had ideas from the very, very early stages. I think it just developed as we got to do more gigs and as we gained experience and things like that. I think there were a lot of ideas that we wanted to try out both on record and on stage. But it's something that you can't do all at once. I mean, you've just got to be in the right sort of stage in your career to do larger things. Like you couldn't start off with a huge entourage of lights because, I mean, we weren't doing bigger venues. So you had to sort of like wait for your turn. But it came pretty quickly, I think.
Now, with Queen 1, Queen 2, Killer Queen, you were building up an immense album following with those albums. Then, and also, I mean, you were also breaking into the singles market in quite a big way. But with Bohemian Rhapsody and A Night at the Opera, I mean, that was the absolute breakout.
Yeah, well, that really tore the market up tore the market up and down, didn't it? I mean, it sort of it just kind of got us a totally different. It got us to a very different area. I mean, the cross section of sort of the public then was so different. I mean, we suddenly realised we were playing to mums and dads, and I mean, like, the people that were coming to see us were totally different. And I think it was a very good thing, because, I mean, it was just gathering a much larger sort of audience, really.
Yeah.
And it helped enormously.
Now, for an act that had been so visual on stage, and I'm still referring to the Bohemian Rhapsody time, suddenly, in that year, came one of the classiest film clips that's probably ever been made. And the fact also that it happened to be associated with a group that had probably one of the classiest stage acts.
I think, yes, that was a...
I mean,
it was a very good period for
back.
us, wasn't it?
And so think, gosh, you know, film
yes,
clips
I
really
think
work.
at that time we were really... things were really falling into place, and I think our sort of ideas were really... really gelling and coming to life. And I think that film idea was ours as well. So, I mean, I think in terms of thinking of Bohemian Rhapsody as a record concept, I think we thought of it in terms of visuals as well. And I think I sort of, myself, thought of... I could really picture that sort of song in sort of visuals. So I think when it came to doing the promotional film, I think it was kind of quite easy from quite easy, because people think we spent hours and hours making that film. In fact, it took literally about four hours, I think. And we just had it all planned
you were
out.
breaking a lot of barriers by this stage, because number one, I mean, the album was going bang like that. You were putting on an enormous stage show by this stage. You were you had a song with Bohemian Rhapsody that started to break rules because of the fact of the duration, and songs, even though back in, say, the late 60s, they were reaching the 7-minute mark. In this period of time, it was unheard of to have a 5-6 minute song sort of thing. And yet you were absolutely adamant that no one was to cut that down.
I think basically what we do is the way we choose singles are sort of their album tracks, basically. I don't think we actually write a single and say this is going to be the single. And what we, I think, try and do is try and, with each album, try and work out what is... where our music is at the current given time, and try and showcase it in say one single, in one sort of number, and that's what takes the sort of single format. With Night at the Opera, we just felt that Bohemian Rhapsody was the song that would sort of say what we're doing at the given time. So we sort of chose that. Now, obviously, we came across certain barriers, like it being 6 minutes long or whatever, and we said. I mean, there were numerous rows. I mean,
well, the recording company wanted to, in actual fact, edit it. Right?
Edit it and things like that, yes. And we just thought, there's no point. You either sort of hear it in its entirety, or pick another song. Yeah. And I think we were so sort of confident with that sort of number. I mean, it is a risk, I know. And we either thought it was either going to be an enormous flop, or a huge success, you know, depending on.
Well, I mean, both the single and the album became, I mean, like, chart monsters, and I noticed that in fact Bohemian Rhapsody won an award the other day for one of the best compositions.
BPI thing.
Yeah, for over the past 25 years. The pressure then on the group must have been immense to do the follow-up album, which was A Day at the Races.
True, I think people will obviously, no matter how hard you try, will think of in terms of your past hits. That's inevitable. But I think it's up to the group and the musicians to really think in other terms. From my point of view, I mean, as far as the writing side of it was concerned, I really thought, I said, okay, Bohemian Rhapsody, big hit. But as far as my writing abilities were concerned, I think I could write better anyway. And I just looked at it from that point of view. I mean, I just went and wrote, from my estimation, I think a song like Somebody to Love is, in my estimation, a better sort of, from the writing aspect, a better song, you see. But I mean, it's very difficult, because obviously people think of sort of songs in terms of hits, obviously, and then they will obviously say, well, Somebody to Love was not as good a song because it wasn't as big a hit. But it really depends on how you look at it. From my point of view, I think my writing ability is getting better.
Well, I remember virtually this time last year, or actually it was a little bit earlier, and I was over here, and you were slightly down and depressed, the fact that you'd spent you're spending all your time in the recording studios, locked away. In fact, you said, you know.
Yes, that's true. We're still getting bills from from the day of the races. I think we decided on from the start of this album, even from the onset of actually writing the material, that we weren't going to spend as much time in the studios, because I think we've done to death the sort of multi-tracking harmonies and the lavish productions and things. I think we've done it with Night of the Opera and Day of the Races, certainly. And I just think we felt that we needed a change,
right.
Anyway, from the writing aspect as well. And so I think we wanted a much fresher and a sort of raw approach to songs.
Which brings us to the new album, News of the World. The title itself is sort of almost intriguing. The fact of being sort of a name from a well-known classy paper.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But what's more intriguing of hearing the album, and so the single itself, titled We Are the Champions, the lyrics in We Are the Champions could almost be read in many ways.
Well, you tell me, what do you think?
Well, the first time I heard it and I looked at the lyrics, I wasn't sure, because after Bohemian Rhapsody, Night of the Opera, and then it got to the Day at the Races, which wasn't as big a album as perhaps everyone was expecting it to be. But looking, and there was a fair amount of criticism, I didn't quite know whether We Are the Champions was a sort of a subtle thing of saying, well, you may think, you know.
I mean, I think we always write songs like that. It really is up to the listener to make up its interpretation. I think it's nice. I think up to now, I think even now, it's got to a stage where we do it subconsciously, you know. I mean, and we write, especially my songs. I mean, they don't state very categorically. I mean, they're very sort of, they can go into different sort of areas, and I like that actually. I mean, it's a nice escape for me, from the writer's point of view, but I think from the listener's point of view, it's nice that they can make up different interpretations. So basically, if you ask me what it's all about, I would say it is tongue-in-cheek, and it's not to be taken too seriously. I'm like, my God, I can't be serious.
No.
You know, it's something that I wanted to write a song that was very cold and calculated, and kind of to the point. And basically, it was a song of sort of participation. I wanted people to sort of participate. I was looking at it from the sort of the show point of view as well, how we were going to sort of do that. And I just thought, why... I wasn't going to sort of beat around the bush. I thought I'm going to be as blatant as possible.
Can I just interrupt there?
Yeah.
I remember also you saying last year that was sort of like you might as well be in a jail, the time you were spending in the studios. And I notice here you've said, I've done my sentence but committed no crime, and bad mistakes, I've made a few.
Theatrical. That's all very theatrical.
Right. And then it keeps going, and then it says, which is probably makes a lot of people think, I've taken my bows and my curtain calls. You brought me fame and fortune and everything that goes with that. I thank you all. But it's been no bed of roses.
Yeah. It's my way of saying that to a lot of people, I mean, that's like, a lot of people think being a rock and roll star is kind of going to a studio, making a disc, and then going around spending all the money, which I don't think it is. And I know that a lot of people do realize that, but even at the same time, a lot of people don't. They think it's a very easygoing life. And I mean, like, a lot of people still think, when I say, oh, we're going to America for a tour, they think, oh, nice long holiday. And that's just my way of saying that it's not easygoing. I mean, God, I mean, don't for 1 minute think that it's all peaches and cream.
Well,
There's no bed of roses.
I find it intriguing then.
It's hard work.
That suddenly, I mean, like this album, and I don't know what yourself or John or Roger or Brian were anticipating, but suddenly this album's only been out a day or so. It's already broken into the albums chart in England. It's got rave reviews in America so far, of the people that have heard it. The single is just becoming a giant.
It's working for us. We're very pleased, actually.
Yeah.
It's nice. I think it's a very good step for us, because we're moving away from what people thought. I mean, they thought there's going to be another Marx Brothers title.
Yeah.
There's going to be another very overproduced album. And I think they're in for a shock, because, I mean, a lot of it sounds very different. And it's very interesting from our point of view, because I don't want to sort of churn out the same old formula or the successful formula. I mean, I don't particularly want to sort of write a whole load of rhapsodies, you know. And it's very interesting for me to write songs like Get Down, Make Love, which is sort of something that we're not used to doing. So it's interesting from our point of view. And if it comes out okay, it's great, you know, something new.
Now, may I ask you a couple of pertinent questions?
Oh, what are they?
The first one being like one of the world's top groups, and
how nice.
living in a country. Well, I mean, it's
Yeah.
true.
You're going to ask me about taxis, go on.
No, I'm not.
Thank God.
Living in London, with the punk rock craze coming along,
What's that?
does it become a challenge? You know, in the sense where
It's
you're finding these amazing contrasts, and like you'll find the punk rock writers who will follow a certain stream and may try to put down the established top world acts of today. I mean, is it a challenge to you and the rest of the guys?
It's always been a challenge. You know, I mean, it doesn't matter what, even if there is a new movement or call it what you want, there's always a challenge. I mean, take for example the charts today. I mean, at the moment, I feel there's enormous competition with just the established acts. I mean, there's ELO, there's ABBA, there's Rod Stewart. So I mean, you know, there's always competition, and we're never going to sort of. I'm never one for resting on my laurels, really, because I always know there's that competition, and that's what keeps us, you know, keeps the driving force there.
Well,
but with the new stuff, I think it's all healthy. I think there's always going to be a kind of a new movement, because I mean that's how we started.
Can I be bold to say that then I think it almost brings the cunning out in you? I think you
The
almost
cunning.
enjoy it.
Oh yes, I mean the day where we sort of say that, well, we're the greatest or whatever. I mean there you are, we're the champions. I mean it's not meant to be taken.
But one could almost look at it that way as well.
Yeah, I mean we certainly haven't hit our peaks. I mean there's always, you've got to keep going. I think there's so much we still have to do. So I think the competition is always there, and whether there be a punk rock movement or call it what you like, it's all there.
Now, may I tick you off, just you and the rest of the group off,
Right.
just in this one sense, where you've done 2 amazing television specials, in the sense that they're in the can, especially the Hyde Park concert, and like I was lucky enough to be in London and see the concert, but really the rest of the world awaits to see Queen and Hyde Park on video and television.
I think everybody's...
The rumour is that the reason it's being held up is that they're waiting for Queen to go in and edit it.
Who told you that? No, actually, what is being done at the moment is we're doing a sort of, I think, an hour to an hour and a half long documentary. I don't know if I told you that. And that's where I think that's going to be very good for us, because I think a lot of people have been waiting to actually not just see little spasmodic...
Which we did see as far as the singles stuff was concerned.
Yeah, I think people now want to see a more in-depth sort of thing on Queen, and I think a documentary is really inevitable now, and we're sort of working on it right now. So I mean, I think the release date is set for February in this country, and then ultimately it's going to go all over the world. So I think it's going to be much more sort of much more in keeping of what we're doing, rather than sort of see the odd promo films.
Well, can I congratulate yourself and Brian and John and Roger on a great album.
Well, thanks very much.
And a good single. And all I can say is thanks for being on Countdown, and you've got to come down to Australia soon.
Will do.
Thanks very much, Freddie.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
45-1.